Subarray sum equals k. In this problem, we're given an array of integers nums and an integer k, and we need to return the total number of subarrays whose sum equals to k. And the subarray is contiguous, non-empty sequence of elements within an array. So in example 1, we have this array 1, 1, 1, and k is equal to 2. We need to find all the sublists within this list that, when summed together, or the elements within that sublist that are sequential, they sum up to 2. So for example, we have 1, 1, that's one list, and then we have another list here and here, so that's 2. And this, since the elements are not after one another, then we don't count it, and finally we return 2. In this example, we have k is equal to 3, and we have this array, so we can see 1 and 2 is one list, so that's 1, and then 3 alone is another list, so that's 2. So the way we're going to solve this is, first and foremost, we're going to create an int count which is equal to 0. This is going to increment every time we have a sublist that's equal to the integer k that they gave us. So let's see what that looks like. What we're going to do is we're going to iterate through the elements of our nums array for int I is equal to 0 as long as I is less than nums dot length I plus plus. In this for loop, we're going to create an integer sum which is equal to 0, and then we're going to create another for loop which is int j is equal to I as long as j is less than nums dot length j plus plus. Now with that sum that we created in our first for loop, we're going to do this. Sum is equal to sum plus nums at j, and then we're going to check if sum is equal to k. Then we increment our count, and then finally all we need to do is return count. So let's take a look at example 1 for int I is equal to 0 as long as I is less than nums dot length I plus plus, and sum is equal to 0. For int j is equal to I, so j is equal to 0, and then we're going to iterate from j equals to 0 up until j is less than nums dot length, which is 3. So sum is going to be equal to sum plus nums at j, which is nums at 0, which is 1. Is sum equal to k? No, it's not, so we skip this if statement, we increment our j. J is now equal to 1, which is also 1. So sum is going to be equal to sum, which was initially 1, plus 1, so now it's 2. Is sum equal to k? Yes, it is, so we increment our counter. Now counter is 1, and we increment j one more time, so now j is equal to 3. So now j is equal to 2. Sum is going to be equal to sum plus nums at 2, which is also 1, but our sum is 2, so 2 plus 1, now that's 3, and we've exceeded our k, so we're going to skip this if again, and then we're going to leave this for loop because j is now equal to nums dot length, and we're going to increment our I counter, or our I integer here, so now I is 1, and once again sum is 0. This time j is equal to 1, and we have to keep looping until j is less than nums dot length. But if you notice, we started here in the beginning at j equals to 0, at j equals to 1 we start here, and we only check this element and the element next to it, and so on and so forth. So let's submit our code and see if it works, and there we go. So that was the subarray sum equals k problem on LeetCode. I hope you found that video helpful, and thanks for watching.